If you're planning on driving in Iceland anytime soon, here are some things you may find useful. The legal age you need to be to drive in Iceland is 17, but if you're hiring a car, it's 20. And depending on the size of the vehicle, you may need to be 23 or even 25. And then there are the roads. There are no dual carriageways here. Okay, in Reykjavik, there are some, but around Iceland in general, it's single carriageway. The roads are raised up above the surrounding landscape. There's a camber to the road, so the middle of it is higher than the edges, and then there's a steep embankment either side for water to drain off. That way, I guess they don't have to put a drainage system in all the roads all the way around Iceland, which would be very expensive. There's also F roads. You only want to go on an F road if you have a 4x4. And it's recommended that if you use an F road, that you go in a convoy of 2. So if one person breaks down, someone is there to help, or a vehicle is there to help. And punctures are likely, so make sure you've got a spare. If you're hiring a car, they won't allow you to use an F road unless you have a 4x4. And F roads are gravel, and you do actually drive through rivers. We're not using an F road on this trip. We're actually doing the ring route, which goes all the way around Iceland. It's known as Route 1, and that's actually fairly well paved. We have come across one section so far, and we're about halfway through the trip, where the road was gravel, and that went on for like 10 minutes, but the surface is fairly hole free. It's a rough surface, creates quite a lot of road noise, but it does seem to be sturdy. Speed limits out of town, 90 kilometers per hour on a paved road, and 80 kilometers per hour if you're on a loose surface. And in town, it's 50 kilometers per hour, although it can be 30 if there are signs. And out of town, it can be 70 as well if there's signs. We've seen one 60 so far, which is unusual, and a 40 in town. We've just driven across the south coast from the west in Keflavik to Hoffen in the east. There's plenty of places to stop on the south coast, toilets, and lots of tourist attractions to see, like ice glaciers and waterfalls. We're now driving up the east. There's not really a lot here. We're actually going up the east just to get to the north. We're not really planning to stop and see much here. We don't have the time, we have a week, so we're spending time in the south and the north predominantly. There isn't much in the way of toilets on the east route or petrol stations, so fill up, and when you see a toilet, I recommend you use it. We found one so far, and I don't think there's going to be another one until our destination, which is like 4 hours away. The roads are much more windy on the east coast and hilly, and you may think, well, there's not a lot of traffic in Iceland, and there isn't. We haven't been caught in traffic once, I don't think, not so much as a queue at some traffic lights. But I can see why the speed limits here are relatively low, 90 kilometers per hour being the maximum. That's about 53 miles per hour, I think. And it's because the roads are quite narrow, they're quite remote as well, so if you got into trouble, you would be in trouble. And you don't have to stray too far to one side to be off the road. And once you go off the road a little bit, well, there's a big embankment, so I can see how you could go down there, roll the car, and get yourself into some trouble quite quickly. Headlights should be used come day or night in Iceland, and you will need winter tyres in the winter. Although I don't think it's a legal requirement, but you would be silly not to have winter tyres given how windy the roads are and up and down they are. You wouldn't get very far without them. In fact, you may end up getting on the roof of the car, in which case the tyres will be in the air, and I guess by that point it doesn't matter which tyres you have. The drink drive limit is 0.02%, which is very low. That's almost a zero alcohol policy. In the UK, it's 0.08, and throughout a lot of Europe, it's 0.05. So it is lower in Iceland. It used to be 0.05 in 2018, but they reduced it. You can't use your mobile phone whilst driving, but you can use a hands-free kit. And something I've noticed so far, no matter where we've been on Route 1, the ring route, we've had good mobile signal. I don't know how they do it. We're like in the middle of nowhere and we've got data, which is handy because that's what we need for our maps and any media, any entertainment we're currently using. If you're going to do the ring route, I recommend you do it in late spring, summer, or early autumn when there's no snow on the roads. Driving on these roads when it's snowy is going to require a lot of concentration, and it's going to mean you're going to have to go far slower. I've not been here in the winter, but I can imagine it's difficult. If you do get yourself into trouble, it's important to remember the emergency number is 112. Iceland is very popular for people from the US, and it's 911 there, and in the UK it's 999, but it's 112 here as it is in most of Europe. If you're wondering why I'm not driving, well, I have been driving quite a bit, but Gosha has taken over for a bit so I can make this video, because driving in Iceland, although there's not much traffic, due to the width of the road and the fact it's always windy and up and down, it does actually take some concentration. So I thought I'd best concentrate on doing the video and not trying to drive at the same time. Makes things easier. When it comes to parking, you don't need cash. We haven't seen anywhere where we've needed cash so far. You can use card or your phone. There's usually like a QR code you can scan and pay via a website. And there are 2 apps. If you have these 2 apps, I'll put them on screen now. You can park in most places just by using those apps. So I recommend getting those and signing up to them before you come here. There are plenty of these bridges where you get this sign here and it goes 90, 70 and then 50, and the bridges are single file, 1 car at a time. There's loads of them, and I guess it's because it's cheaper to have a bridge that's wide enough for 1 car instead of 2, and as the traffic is so light, there's no need to go to the extra expense of having a more expensive bridge. Then the speed limit goes back up to 70 and then back up to 90 shortly. I'll show you that sign again. It's this sign coming up on the right now. That tells you that it's single file. I guess we've got another one. It says 500 meters, another narrow bridge coming up soon. Lots of them in Iceland, especially on the east coast so far. As far as I can tell, petrol and diesel are priced about the same in Iceland. I'm here in the beginning of September 2022 and I'm paying around about £2.04 per litre, plus or minus depending on where I fill up. So quite expensive then. Back home in the UK, I'm spending about £1.70 per litre. But it's Iceland and most things seem to be quite expensive. However, even though things are expensive, you're probably not going to get anything stolen because crime here is incredibly low. I've noticed cars don't even have locking wheel nuts. The driving in Iceland is generally very relaxed. A lot of the cars are tourists on the road, they're hire cars, and if you're a tourist and you're driving around, you're probably not in a hurry. Although 3 times now we've had a car overtake us and then slow down, which is odd. And this red car in front of us is one of them. They've sped up again now, but they overtook us and it's 90 here and then slowed down to 80 and stayed like that for a few minutes. They seem to be accelerating again now. Don't understand why. I mean, 3 times in one day? Odd. Something that is missing from the roads are large lorries. They don't seem to come out during the day, but when I've gone on the road at night, or should I say in the evening after 7 PM, that's when they're on the road and there's lots of them. So I don't know if it's a coordinated thing or just a coincidence. It's too much to be a coincidence, I'm sure, but they seem to do all their driving at night time. We're going along the north of Iceland now to Dettifoss waterfall. Foss means waterfall. And the road there, well, we've got 31 kilometers left and I'm hoping it's not all like this. This is unmade. It's an 80 km/h speed limit, but well, we're doing 40 km/h and sometimes it feels bad enough as it is. I wouldn't want to go any faster because these bumps are horrific. Smooth at the moment though, but just every so often you come across a huge hole or a load of huge holes you can't avoid. Excuse the rattling from this unmade road. I want to talk about road signs now. The road signs in Iceland are similar to what they are like in the UK and the rest of Europe, but instead of having a white background, it's usually yellow. Triangles with a red border are a warning. Circles with a red border is something you should not do, and blue signs are usually something that you should do. However, if you see a blue sign with a number in it, say like 50, it's not the same as the UK. In the UK that means a minimum speed limit, but in Iceland a blue circle with a number is an advisory speed limit. We decided to stop driving down that road because it was going on for what felt like forever, and there were some big vehicles with big tyres wanting to go a lot faster than us, or just tourists trashing their hire cars by going way too fast than the car is designed to go on such a road. And I was thinking we're soon going to get a puncture, flat tyre, or a broken window. But as it turns out, there are two ways to Dettifoss. The east, which was the way we were going, and that is the road that's unpaved, or the west, which is this one, a paved road, and there's a toilet there as well. So actually this is a fair trade for me. I know it's a cliche to say, but be prepared for the weather in Iceland. Today we woke up, it was sunny, we started driving, it started raining, then we got dense fog, then we had rain, then we had dense fog again, and a little bit more rain. Now it's a sunny day, so the weather does change, although we have been driving across the country, so that does make a difference as we're going over mountains. But yesterday we were pretty much in the same place. It was 18 degrees and we were hot. For some reason 18 felt hotter than usual, probably because we're walking uphill, and we were in a t-shirt, very hot. We went up about 20 meters and then we went down about 20 meters, and I know this because I was looking at a topographical map, if that's how you say it, with the lines that tell you how many meters you're going up and down, and it went from about 18 degrees to around about 4. Next to a glacier, that might have something to do with it, but it was really cold. 3 layers on, hood up, wind blowing, and sometimes I could feel a really cold, like air conditioning blow on my face, and I would move 5 meters to one side, then you get a warm gust, and then you move a little bit more, and then it was cold again. So the weather here is crazy. There are some tunnels in Iceland. We've been through a couple already, and one was long. I think it took us around about 5 minutes to get through. There is an important tunnel you need to know about. It's in the north of the country. I don't know the name, I probably can't pronounce it, so I'll put it on screen now, but you have to pay to go through it, so I'll put the cost on screen as well. However, you don't have to use it. You can go around it, you can go to the north and go around it instead, and that takes around about 15 minutes. So if you're a tourist and you haven't got anywhere to be quickly, instead of paying the fee and going through the tunnel, it's actually recommended you go the more scenic mountainous route. This is how you fill up with petrol or diesel. You may think, well, I know how to do that, but there's something you need to know about filling up in Iceland. Let me show you. All right, fuel filler flap open. And then you have one of these machines. Select your language, put your card in here with the chip there, and it'll want you to do your PIN, which of course I'm not going to show you that. And enter. Now this is the thing you need to know. See if I can get that on screen for you. Don't choose full tank, because it will put a 250 or something euro hold on your card. Choose the second from highest if you want, or whatever one you're prepared to have a hold on your card for. So 12,000 krona, I think that's 80 quid or something. Fuel's quite expensive at the moment. Select the pump. Well, this one is pump 7. So there we go. And then it will give you your card. Choose what you want. I want this green one. I've got to make sure this is open first. There we go. And then fill up. You only get charged for what you use. So I've asked for 12,000 krona, if I remember correctly. If I only use 8, I'll only pay for 8, but there will be a 12,000 krona hold on the card. And if you want a receipt, when it's finished filling up, All you do is put your card back in the machine and it will churn out a receipt for you. I'm guessing this is going to be about 30 litres. This car only has a 36 litre tank. Alright, I was a bit wrong, 22 litres. Quite surprised how economical this car is. So I put it back. Obviously, you already know this, but then if you want the receipt, put your card in the machine, pin first. It'll do some noises, and there you go. It's about an hour after I filled up, and it's already released the money on my card. When I filled up, it charged my card 12,000 Icelandic krona, which is £74.88, and in the end it only cost me 7,421 krona, which is £46.53. So I'm free to spend that money it was holding on souvenirs already. Less than an hour. But I have heard from many sources that if you do the fill up option, it holds around about 250 euros for several days, possibly over a week. Given how expensive Iceland is, I recommend getting groceries from Bonus, which is one of the cheapest shops on the island, or Netto. They're both fairly cheap, although I think Bonus might be slightly cheaper. At least it seemed that way when I was in there, and there are plenty dotted around the island. Something that's actually affordable in Iceland is parking. Usually it's between 500 and 700 krona, which is between £3 and £4, certainly no more than £5. And that's not per hour, that's for the day. And there are plenty of places that are free, and they're not even like just the side of the road. They are proper places like geothermal geysers or caves where you can just park there for free, go and have a look and be on your way. Usually you pay for parking in the biggest of attractions. Usually they have toilets and sometimes even like a cafe and other facilities. Hiring a car in Iceland is not cheap. This is a Toyota Yaris, which is a relatively affordable car. Yeah, it's over £500 for the week, and I did shop around, I did try and get a good deal. And you can pay a lot more depending on the level of insurance you take out. When you hire a car, you are insured. You get the basic cover, which is known as CDW, Collision Damage Waiver. And that is basically your excess, how much you have to pay before the insurer pays. And for me, with the basic CDW, it's 350,000 Icelandic krona. That's the excess. That sounds like a lot of money. I'll have to work out. I'll put it on screen in pounds, dollars and euros, but it doesn't sound cheap. I could go for SCDW, which stands for Super Collision Damage Waiver. Then my excess reduces to 120,000 Icelandic krona. I could pay for gravel protection to protect the front of the car and the windscreen from stones and rocks breaking the window or damaging the front. This car came with gravel protection as standard. I didn't have to pay extra for that. But then it says I have a 30,000 Icelandic krona excess for windscreen cover. Here, and you can see that, he's actually circled it. So, well, to say gravel protection's included and then give me an excess for windscreen cover is a bit cheeky, I think. I could have gone for platinum cover, and that would have reduced my liability down to zero and included sand and ash protection. That's another insurance you can get. In Iceland, there's sand, ash and wind, and when it gets windy, the wind can blow the ash around the car and scour it, damaging the paint and the plastics. And the estimated price for a typical repair is between 420,000 Icelandic krona and 1.2 million Icelandic krona, which is quite a bit, and it's something you don't have any control over. It's not cheap. If I wanted to go for platinum cover, it would have made the car like £800 instead of £500. During this trip, we haven't just stuck to the ring route, Route 1. We are actually visiting the Westfjords in the very top northwestern part of the country. And once we got off Route 1, it seemed fine, but then the road turned to gravel. and that went on for some time. It became tarmac again, and then gravel again with some incredibly steep hills. I'm surprised the car made it up some of the hills. I was doubtful at one moment. I wish I recorded one of them, but my thoughts weren't, oh, let's record this road. When I got to it, it was like, uh-oh, am I going to make it up there? But it handled it. So in the summer, yeah, a normal car can get up there. But if this was the winter, you would need a 4x4. And to be honest, even in a 4x4, I wouldn't want to attempt it. Something I forgot to mention about insurance is opening your door in windy weather. The man actually said to me when he gave me the car, if it's windy, hold on to your door as you open it, because the wind here can get so strong that when you open it, the door flies off, and I'm not insured for that. So it doesn't matter what I pay, if the wind blows the door off, I've got to pay for a new door. And the hinges to fit it, I guess. I doubt the door is going to be in good condition by the time it's flown off and landed on the floor. Even though getting to the Westfjords is difficult, I recommend it. It's one of the most beautiful parts of Iceland. There's not much in the way of tourist attractions and not much in the way of tourists, but the landscape is dramatic. It's wild and it's breathtaking. If I open the window, it's just mountains like this everywhere. And the roads are like roller coasters. They're up and down and windy. When they're tarmac, they're good, but obviously when they're gravel, a little bit more worrying that you're going to actually make it up the hill. One way you can save money in Iceland is by buying the hot dogs at the petrol stations. They're not that much money and they're quite good. I think they're about £3 or £4. And at the moment, everywhere seems to be selling these Snickers Duo bars for 99 kroner. It's like 62 pence. About the cheapest source of food we've got at the moment. Not bad though, because these are actually one of my favourites. We've just been driving through Reykjavik, and although it's more challenging than the rest of the island because there's more cars, it's still fairly simple compared to what I'm usually used to. There are more lanes, there's places with 2 lanes, some places with 3 lanes, and I even saw a junction with 4 lanes, but they're basic traffic lights, fairly easy to navigate if you're using the sat-nav. There are plenty of roundabouts, but they're simple roundabouts with only 2 lanes, but they do happen fairly often. Each roundabout for some time was less than a kilometre apart from each other. I've noticed that Iceland get very creative with their traffic lights. The pedestrian crossing lights look like cartoon children, and the red lights in the town Akureyri in the north, I'm probably not pronouncing that correct, are red hearts. If you're interested in the car we've been using, it's a Toyota Yaris Hybrid, a 2020 model year. It's been incredibly economical. We've done 2,491 kilometres so far. We've got 50 kilometres left to get back to the airport, and it's averaged 3.9 litres per 100 kilometres, which is really good. It was down to just 3.5 litres per 100 kilometres before we started getting into the mountains, but obviously that requires more work. If you're interested in a review of this car, I actually reviewed the Mazda 2 Hybrid, which is essentially the same car. I really can't tell the difference. Even like trim level, this one seems the same to the car I reviewed. It has all the same kit. If you're interested in that review, I'll leave a link to it in the top right hand corner of your screen. If you found the video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to get my future videos. And until the next one, cheerio.